You've been told something your entire life, that the world is unfair, that the system is broken, that men have it easier or women have it harder or maybe the opposite. And slowly, without realizing it, you started to feel something heavy inside you. Frustration, anger, helplessness. Like no matter what you do, you're already behind. But here's the truth no one tells you. Focusing on inequality can quietly turn you into something dangerous. Not stronger, not wiser, but weaker. Because instead of rising, you start identifying as a victim. And that mindset will destroy your future faster than any unfair system ever could. But what most people don't realize about this is what's silently destroying their life. You see it everywhere. Social media posts, debates, arguments, people constantly comparing, blaming, dividing. And you scroll through it, and at first it feels justified. Yeah, this isn't fair. Yeah, things should be different. Yeah, someone else has it easier than me. And slowly, something changes inside you. You stop focusing on what you can control and start obsessing over what you can't. You hesitate more, you doubt yourself more, you question your worth. You start thinking, what's the point of trying if the game is already against me? And that thought is where everything begins to collapse. Because instead of building your life, you start waiting for fairness. Instead of taking action, you start collecting excuses. And the worst part? It feels logical. It feels justified. It feels real. But it's quietly draining your power. Your ambition fades, your discipline weakens, your confidence disappears. And before you know it, you're stuck. Not because of inequality, but because of what you started believing about it. And this cycle repeats again and again. But here's the truth. The problem isn't inequality. The problem is what you do with it. You don't realize it yet, but two people can face the exact same unfair situation and end up with completely different lives. One becomes bitter, the other becomes unstoppable. Why? Because one chooses to focus on limitations and the other chooses to focus on leverage. This is where most people fail. They think awareness is enough. They think pointing out unfairness is progress. But awareness without action is just mental noise. And here's the shift that changes everything. You don't rise by proving the world is unfair. You rise by becoming so strong, so skilled, so focused that unfairness can't stop you anymore. That doesn't mean inequality doesn't exist. It means you refuse to let it define you. Because the moment you let it define you, you give away your control. And that's the real trap. Now, fast forward 5 years. Nothing changed. You kept thinking about what's unfair. You kept waiting for things to be equal. You kept telling yourself you'll start when things get better. But they didn't. And now you're sitting there watching others move ahead. Not because they had it easier, but because they decided to move anyway. And that's when it hits you. It wasn't the system that stopped you. It was the mindset you adopted because of it. The years you could have spent building yourself, learning, growing, improving, were spent thinking, comparing, complaining, waiting. And now you feel it. Regret. Not because life was unfair, but because you gave up your power too early. And that realization, it's one of the hardest things to face. If this message is hitting you right now, take a second to like this video and subscribe, because sometimes the truth is uncomfortable but necessary. So what do you do instead? You shift your focus, not to denial, not to ignorance, but to ownership. You stop asking, is this fair, and start asking, what can I do next? Because that's where your power lives, in your next decision. You don't need to fix the entire system. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to refuse to stay stuck. And this is where everything changes. You choose discipline over emotion. You choose action over frustration. You choose growth over comparison. And slowly, you build something most people never do: resilience. The ability to keep going even when things aren't perfect. The ability to rise even when the odds aren't equal. Because the truth is, no one who achieved something meaningful waited for perfect conditions. They moved forward despite them. So don't try to control the world. Control yourself, your habits, your effort, your mindset, because that's enough to change your life. At the end of the day, the world may never be perfectly fair, but your response to it, that's completely in your hands. You can stay stuck in frustration, or you can turn that frustration into fuel. You can stay in the mindset of why me, or you can step into what now. Because no one is coming to fix your life. No system, no person, no situation will ever care about your future as much as you should. And the life you want, it's not waiting for equality, it's waiting for action. It's on the other side of discomfort, on the other side of responsibility, on the other side of you deciding to rise anyway. So yes, acknowledge reality, but don't let it limit you. Use it, build from it, rise because of it, not in spite of it. Because in the end, your life won't be defined by what was unfair. It'll be defined by what you chose to do anyway. The question is, what are you going to do about it?